We look to the heavens for hope, guidance in a world of uncertainty. Within our universe, a mighty star shines bright over us and reflects itself to enlighten our darkness. It is from that star that our very molecules are born, boundless and bright. That mighty star commands a universe of stars that bear witness to our history and are attached to our ideas of the future. In these stars, we find our beginnings. In these stars, we learn of our endings.
Hello and welcome back to In the Stars with Dwayne. I'm your host, Dwayne Dunleavy, and we had a great couple of episodes before this one. I loved watching them and I thought I was going to hate it. But we got a lot of really good information out there, so hopefully you guys are in the mix with me and starting to understand, maybe if you didn't understand before, how astrology works and what it's all about, and the fact that, a lot of balance is important when it comes to believing things and stuff, but so interesting, right? So much stuff to talk about. Anyway, we ended our last episode with Pisces, which of course was the gentle, sensitive sign, artistic, intuitive, a feeling, a gentleness, and a people person, that kind of thing. And we're moving our way into Aries now in March. March 20th to April 20th is the Aries time of year, and it is actually all about the color red. That's why I wore red today, because red is the Aries color, and it's also the planet that rules Aries, which is Mars. Now, Mars, even, the planet itself is known as the planet of war, of the god of war, and that's what Aries is, the god of war. And so it actually encapsulates kind of what Aries is all about. It's about that feeling of absolute loyalty, absolute obedience. When it comes to Aries, they want things to happen the way they want them to happen, and they want them to happen now. It is a cardinal sign. There are cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. Aries is a cardinal sign, which means it is the most dynamic, energetic, wants things done now. If you are an Aries, or you're close to someone who's an Aries, they don't like to just sit around and talk about things like maybe a Pisces might. An Aries wants to get up and do things. Now, does that mean that an Aries can't just sit and watch a movie for a half hour or read a book or something? No, they can do that, but usually by the end of that half hour, they're really hoping that they can get up and do something. So they are a mover and a shaker. If you are an Aries, you tend to know where you're going, or at least have an idea. Sometimes the Aries don't even realize how much they understand of what they want, because they don't understand that other people don't even have that ability to actually know what they want and understand it. Many people are just looking for something and have no idea what they want. So Aries is the sign of getting things done, of knowing what it wants. It is the absolute most beginning of the astrology wheel, and that's where everything kind of starts and then goes in these sections of 3 and 4. So like I said, it's a cardinal sign. There are also fixed signs, and those are the people that are resistant to change, not movable, that kind of a thing. And then there's mutable, and mutable means that you are adaptable, changeable, softer in the way that you do things. So those are the 3 different types of signs and how they are. So we went from Pisces, which I said was a sensitive, very gentle sign, into Aries, which is like, I get things done. And now, if you're wondering, does that affect me even if I'm not an Aries? Absolutely. So this is how it works. We spoke about how your sun sign is usually the sign that you know about, okay? And then there are 10 other things: your moon, your rising, all of the planets, houses. There's all kinds of stuff that make up your individual chart, which makes you very different from someone born even on the same day. But what we need to know is, how do you figure those things into what your daily expression of that sign. So right now we're in Aries. That's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect me. I'm a Sagittarius. It's going to affect you, whatever sign you are. And it affects you in the ways of that sign. So even a Pisces might start to see that things going out of Pisces feeling less sensitive and feeling more like, I need to get things done. Okay, so it affects everybody. When it comes to that sign, so the Aries themselves, who are being affected now by the Aries in place, is they're just feeling so comfortable. Like, wow, things, seem to really go the way that an Aries would want it. Getting things done. People saying, let's go do something adventurous. Let's do something fun. So that's how it affects everybody and the sign itself. It's great further representation that we are all connected no matter what. I was thinking too, it's kind of interesting how the movement of the planets and the sun and everything that affects us, like I said in an earlier episode, that we're made of water and it affects us by the magnetism and all of that. I thought it's interesting because it's almost like the planet is a big brain, right? And we're all part of that brain. And when the constellation or the planet comes around and affects us, it lights up that part of the planet and it has a pull toward that section. So it's almost like we all are acting as one and then also individually based on the magnetism and pull of those planets. And as exciting and wild as that sounds, I think it's just a natural occurrence. It's not like some magical metaphysical thing. It's just the way that things are and it pulls. So if you're wondering how can any of this have an effect on multiple people at a time or certain things, I think that's how it works because that's how your brain works. So anyway, there's some events happening in March that I want you guys to know about now. If this is happening after March 2nd, so you can look back on it and say, did this happen? The new moon is occurring and that is happening in Pisces. So the new moon in Pisces is that gentle spirit, that sensitive kind of feeling when it comes to things that need to kind of come out. That's the time to do it, around March 2nd and within 24 hours. But since this is coming out mid-March, you're going to look at that and say, did I actually have that feeling? And so it's a good way to kind of look back and see if that happened. Anyway, going into a new moon period, of course, like we always do, but this new moon is happening on March 2nd, and it is in Pisces. Pisces, again, that gentle spirit, that's going to actually create a desire for new beginnings, change things up, getting rid of stuff that's been on your brain and getting all of that stuff out of the way. Now, for you Aries, the fact that we are going into a new moon and we are going to have this gentle kind of spirit around us and the earth, what you need to do is to start thinking about how to kind of lay low, because right now Aries is going to have a little bit of a hard time, could be with friends, could be with family members, about old issues coming up. This is where the loyalty and your friendships are really going to be tried this time of the year. So what's the best advice is to just be very chill, stay away from everybody basically until the 21st, and try not to get into any confrontational stuff. Now, the problem here is that even on your own, you're going to be confronting yourself on some issues. So just go with the flow. It can be difficult when you have to do that kind of stuff, but stick around till the 21st of March when we start to go into that equinox of spring, and that's where you really are going to see a huge change. So just get through this time, and we know you can, because your top qualities, Aries, are that you are courageous, you are driven, you're competitive, you're honest, and you're very energetic, as we know. But so if you just tell yourself, actually, maybe I'll tell you, you can do this, you can get through it. And if I said you can't, you would even more. So tell yourself that. Just be like, I know I can get through this situation. The best way to do it, wear some red. Really, kind of embrace all of the things that surround the planet Mars and all of that kind of characteristic stuff. Now, we've got some amazing celebrities are Aries. I mean, I don't know why, but there's a huge amount of Aries celebrities. Mariah Carey, Emma Watson, we got Celine Dion, Kourtney Kardashian, she's definitely, Elton John, Kristen Stewart, Pharrell Williams, Paul Rudd, Eddie Murphy, Diana Ross, Kate Hudson, Mandy Moore. All of these people can, if you look at their resumes and how their lives have played out, you can definitely see a lot of Aries characteristics in the way that they became celebrities, about the way that they even conduct themselves now. Another cool thing about Aries is they tend to be really good at picking out stuff for homes. They're good at interior design, although not when somebody's paying them for it necessarily. I mean, if you're an interior designer who's an Aries, I'm sure that you are a great interior designer. It's just you had to work for that. The thing with Aries is they'd rather do it just for fun. But if you have to, you can, of course, monetize that skill. But they actually are really good at picking out small things, large things, choosing colors, putting things together. They also are one of the signs that are great at giving good advice. They can tell you the way to kind of get over the hill as opposed to staying at the hill and trying to get up it. And, sometimes there are signs that can actually keep you from getting over the hump of whatever you're going through, because they want to help you to kind of like feel the feelings and all of that stuff. But the Aries doesn't want all that. They just want to get over that hill, work it out, and get it done. And, if you are not an Aries, but you need that too, now is the time to start kind of embracing that energy. Even though it's not your sun sign, it could be in other planets, could be other parts of your chart. So the first 3 weeks, like I said, could be a little bit, rough, but you'll get through it. Now, if you are someone who is, let's say, hanging out with or dating an Aries, you're going to want to know what are their turn-ons and what are their turn-offs. Let's start off with their turn-offs, because you probably want to know how to not get under their skin first before you start to try to play up to what they do like. They do not like sitting still. So Aries is not going to be the person to sit and watch something for 2 hours, to go to the opera, that kind of thing, unless they explicitly have said that that's what they like to do. But the Aries characteristic itself is not one to do that. So definitely not just sitting around. And any type of disloyalty that is explained or expressed from you to even someone else, if you are disloyal to a friend, to a family member in their presence, they are going to be really turned off by that. So you really want to keep in mind how you say things to other people as well as to them, of course. Now, the turn-ons for an Aries, they love thrill. They love high-octane adventure. They don't want to sit around. They want to have fun. They want things to be really amazing. Racing, anything that's fueled by passion, or that you might want to jump up and celebrate, a sports game, something like that. They also tend to be very touchy-feely kind of people. So they're the kind of people that like to wrestle, be affectionate, play, with their hands and things like that. So definitely a touchy-feely sign, and they go for what they want. So take that how you will. Again, they are a cardinal sign, so they tend to be, action-oriented, dynamic. That's how you're going to make them happy. And if you have Aries in your chart, you need to look at where in your chart the Aries is. So let's say, for instance, in your chart, your Venus is in Aries. Well, Venus is the planet of love and romance and beauty and those types of things. So if you inject the character of Aries into that thought, what do you get? You get a real emphasis on romance and love and beauty and all of that kind of stuff. So that's how that would affect you if you have Aries in Venus, or your Libra is in Aries, that kind of situation or combination. Now, As we move through the month, we start to come back to, like I said, the equinox. The spring equinox is at the end of the month on the 21st, and that is when things obviously change weather-wise, and clothing even changes, what to wear, all kinds of stuff happens. So this is our last little stretch from the leftover winter, where we're kind of inside, everything has folded in, all of the leaves have fallen off the tree, and now we're starting to get the littlest inkling of these little buds getting ready to bloom at the end of March and the beginning of April. Now when we go into April, we will be going into Taurus. So once we hit Taurus, what you're going to see is Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus is all about, and actually it's funny because Taurus is actually ruled by Venus as well as Libra being ruled by Venus. So you really have to, it's one of the only signs that is ruled by two different planets, and that is about love and life. But Taurus, as opposed to Venus, Taurus tends to be more, they just want to live life. They don't want consequences. They don't want things to get in the way of having a good time and everybody enjoying themselves. They're definitely party givers and throwers. They love home. They love to make a home. Usually they tend to veer toward the more modern side of things, clean lines and empty spaces and that kind of a thing, with an emphasis on real specific beauty that is undeniable. Okay, whereas Aries tends to have great taste in things. They tend to have taste for kind of like a more general audience, whereas Taurus is very much in love with things that are undeniably beautiful and have clean lines and simple aspects to them. Some famous Tauruses are Audrey Hepburn, George Clooney, Barbara Streisand. We've got some amazing people in the Taurus category that we're going to talk more about in the next episode. But coming from the Aries part of the astrological wheel into Taurus, you look at that crossover as well. So if you're somebody who is born in the middle of that, so we go from March 20th to April 20th. If you are born on the 20th or the 21st and you are an Aries Taurus cusp, then that means that you might have really great taste and really be able to do that kind of a thing, choosing things for other people. So if you are in that type, in that age range, if you are in that date range, then you might be perfect for interior design or anything that has to do with a visual outlay and pleasing people visually. So graphic design, that kind of a thing. That's how the transitional birthdays tend to have an equal part, or you can think of them as having an equal part of each side of that. So Aries and Taurus, you would have a personality that likes to get things done and move and go and do things, but takes its time, builds things, enjoys simplicity, and you put those two together, and that's what somebody of that time might be like characteristically, or you can expect them to kind of be along those lines. Now, when we go into Taurus, we're also going to talk about some of the things about Taurus that I have noticed. Like every Taurus that I know is just so great at putting things out for people to eat, like making a cheese board and, making everything look and feel like you're at home. Also making you feel at home. They want to make sure that you have everything you need, and they love to be stylish, but in a more classic kind of way. That's how I think of Audrey Hepburn, very classic elegance and that kind of a thing. So you can always, if you're someone in a relationship with a Taurus Aries cusp, you might be someone who knows that they need to have their time, they need to be surrounded by beautiful things, and they are very touchy-feely people, but when they like to go and do things, they're probably very hard workers, but when they take a break and they go and do something, they want to get on a jet ski, they want to get on a boat, they want to fly somewhere, they want to do something. The people now getting more into the Taurus and further away from the Aries are going to be a little bit more reserved. They're going to be more people that, maybe they work a lot of the time and they're really good at their job, but they really, they let loose, but it's very rare that they even give themselves times to do that. Family-wise, Tauruses, especially Tauruses closer to Taurus, are going to be, it's very loyal, definitely, but it can also be somewhat, they feel sometimes like they're not part of the actual group all the time, because sometimes they feel like maybe their ideas are let's just have a good time. Let's not worry about this emotion or that emotion or problem or whatever. So that could be a little bit of an issue for them. They are ruled by the throat area, and so Tauruses can get scratchy throat problems of all types. Aries is ruled by the head, so sometimes Aries, when your life is out of control or things are not going your way, you might get a headache. One good response to a headache for an Aries is to get one of those little waterfalls. You can get them like at a drugstore or something for like $10, and it just makes a little bit of water come out, and it makes the sound of water. That can help an Aries so much, because if you imagine they are fire, and not like water puts out fire, but it definitely soothes it, and it kind of, as a fire sign, a water sound is going to soothe you a lot. You might really love being near the ocean, and I mean, a lot of people do, but for a fire sign, it can be really, changing for their life. So the sound of water, if you're closer to a Taurus, something you might want to be, or if you're a cusp, if you're having headaches or sore throats, you might have both of those things if you're on the cusp. Ginger is good. There's something called horsehound, which is a natural remedy for sore throats. There's all kinds of remedies for throat issues. So that's what you're going to want to think about if you are closer to the Taurus. Taurus is ruled by the bull and the planet Venus. So everybody has their own planet. Each sign has their own planet, their own color. For Taurus, we've got the colors orange and blue, and also pink. Pink tends to be like the grand one. It's what represents that beauty and living life, seeing life with rose-colored glasses, that type of a feeling. So you can definitely see how that goes in with that. The next thing we want. Now, when it comes to Aries, Aries tend to have the issues that they want to do something, but they want to do a lot of things. Then focus can be hard. If you have a young Aries, let's say a school-age child that is an Aries, one of the issues that you may see is that they like to start projects, but it's hard for them sometimes to finish them. So one of the things you can do is use that information that I even told you about earlier, where if you are having issues with focus, the sound of water can really be helpful to an Aries, and that's the same for a kid. So if you let the Aries sit down with some paper and markers and you put on the sound of water, you'll be surprised at how much more focus they can have, because it is so essential to the way that the brain works, is that you have something to kind of calm you. So Aries also, because of their propensity to want to do things and to be energetic and adventurous, they can also be prone to hurting themselves, twisting ankles, breaking arms. So that's another thing for Aries, especially the young kids. They can be very energetic and want to climb trees, but they can also fall out of those trees. And because they are ruled by the head, you really want to make a huge effort to always keep the head protected. If you do anything that can have any kind of effect, even riding a bike, roller skating, that kind of thing, make sure that you wear something to protect your head, because that is the vulnerable spot. So when you are ruled by a part of the body in astrology, that is a strong and weak point. They exist together. So your head as an Aries is one of your strongest points. It could be that you're very attractive. It could be that you have an amazing way of thinking, anything to do with the head. But it also means that that's a vulnerable spot. So you can be prone to injuries to that. You can have headaches. You can have injuries to the face, that kind of a thing. So definitely want to keep that in mind as the part of the body. Like I said, when we move from Aries into Taurus, Taurus is the throat. So anything from this area down can be affected over that time, and that is also for the general public. So even if you're not an Aries or a Taurus, at this time, you definitely want to keep an eye out on these areas of the body, because they are more prone for everybody to have issues in those areas. Now, again, the way that the signs affect other people, even if you are not an Aries, the color red will help you to embody those Aries characteristics. So if you are a person who is trying to work up that courage to go into your boss's office and say to them, I want that raise that I have been promised for 2 years, etc., etc., wear something red. It's going to embody that Mars planet, that military kind of outlook. And speaking about military, the Aries are funny because they definitely encapsulate, and a lot of times they love military style, visual style, like even clothing that looks military. You'll see them wearing camo and stuff. But when it comes to friends, if you are not on their team, you're on the other team. And sometimes an Aries can think, now you must be destroyed. So not literally, of course, but an Aries is definitely thinking, if you're not on my team, then you are not helping my cause. And so I don't want to have anything to do with you. It happens. And I've even known Aries where it's happened. So keep an eye out for that. Moving into the cusp, personality-wise and situation-wise, we're looking out for the head and the throat. The head meaning thinking, also analysis. There can be issues at this time with that. Moving into on the cusp, the 21st and on, having issues with getting things out, saying things that need to be said. That can be a Taurus issue, and it can definitely happen on the cusp there. So do things need to be said and it's just getting stuck at that last little part? You just can't find the energy. This is when you want to start bringing in those Aries qualities, and then if you do decide to say what needs to be said, if you're on the cusp and moving forward, you want to keep it simple. Remember, I said Taurus is all about simple elegance. So something that could be said in 45 words, whittle it down to maybe 5 words and make it simple, to the point, and elegant. And that's what's going to help you. If you're someone in the art business or writing business, at that time of the year is the time to keep things short and sweet and elegant. So there are different applications, of course, for each of the signs, as well as different areas and houses that the signs fall into. Now, if you watched the first episode where I explained about how the houses and everything kind of turns into what looks like a combination lock. So if you take the universe at the time of your birth, turn it on its side and turn it around, and all the planets and everything are moving, it kind of is like a combination. So when you find out what your combination is, you can also find out how this planet affects this planet, okay? And the crossover from that. So what I always recommend is that everybody find out your time of birth. Some people, now if you are adopted or you never knew that information, there's nothing you can do. So you can't get that detailed information. You can definitely approximate it by the time of the day, on the day that you were born. You can get an idea, and in that case, you have one or two options. You have the 50% it's one or 50% it's the other. So you can always kind of just always go back and forth with your rising sign to it's this and that, and see which one kind of works out to what you're feeling. But find out your rising sign, find out your moon and all of your planets, and usually whenever you get a chart done, it's not like you have to expect to get the chart and not know what all those things mean. There's always an explanation of what each of those planets in that house means to you and how it develops over time. So keep in mind, you need the location of your birth, the date of your birth, and the exact time, because it changes every 2 hours for the rising sign. I'm hoping that in the future, in the very near future, that we'll be able to do some kind of fun products that have your astrological sign on it. I'm actually going to make some I'm going to make some t-shirts. Maybe I'll make some t-shirts with my astrological sign on it. I think that'll be really cool. Not just my sign, but my chart. All of the lines going across, and it'll look really cool. And anybody who's an astrologist will be able to walk by me and look and be like, oh, that's your chart. I can tell that you're a Sagittarius, Capricorn rising, and all of that. Wouldn't that be cool? So before we part, I just want to mention again, everybody, get your information, get your chart done, and look at, like we said earlier, the celebrities, the people that are these signs. Look at what those signs mean. See if it affects those people in that way, or how you can imagine, does it affect in that way, and see if it is the outcome of their lives. It's a fun, cool way to kind of like test astrology. I'm constantly testing astrology. I want sometimes for an Aries or an Aquarius or a Pisces to not be Aries, Aquarius, or Pisces in some way, but they always are. It's amazing. I'm telling you, people, when I find out what their sign is and I find out their charts, it's always just so amazing to me. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Happy birthday to all of you Aries and soon to be Tauruses out there. And I'm looking forward to the next time when we talk about Tauruses. And then after that, we're going to be talking about Geminis. So stick with us. The Geminis are... Thanks for watching In the Stars with Dwayne. I'm your host, Dwayne Dunleavy, and keep looking up.